Okay, so what we're going to do now is a little NLP timeline therapy using our resource state that we just learned how to generate uh, by using NLP mindfulness, which was in the video before this one. So to remind you of the resource state, okay, is putting your love, strength, courage, centeredness, power, energy, faith, gratitude, compassion. Accessing that resource state, putting all that into your right hand. You can put that right hand into your heart, put it all in your heart. It's a resource state, it's there. You access it basically by reading the word and tuning into it, feeling it, remembering it, imagining it, making it up, whatever you have to do. It's a resource state on purpose rather than just by chance. So back to the timeline idea here. Now your timeline, if you've never heard of it, just imagine your whole life from birth to death as like there's a line between birth and death. And your timeline is an imaginary line that you can do some interesting techniques and methods with. So you're right here in the present moment, right here and now. And your future is off to one direction and your past is off to another direction. Now what you can do with this resource state that we just created, remember we had an upset and we collapsed the upset and we brought up this resource state and we created a combination state of your resource state helping the upset state by taking its positive intention and dropping the upset part and getting that goal met. The goal was to keep you safe, to keep you protected, or any, really any intention or goal could be there. So let's see what we can do with it with timeline. Well, one thing with timeline is we can take that resource state and sort of project it out into the future. That you can see out in the future you being able to use the resource state, or perhaps you see yourself calling up the resource state again. Perhaps you see yourself listening to the video again, or learning how to do it by yourself and writing down a cheat sheet, and you see yourself doing the NLP mindfulness and accessing a resourceful state. Cool, right? That's good enough. Just knowing that alone can really open a person's mind to a lot of possibilities in the future. Just seeing themselves in a resourceful state is very empowering and positive just by itself. But let's take this a couple steps further into this timeline NLP technique. So with the timeline therapy, what it has been called in some NLP books, is you basically just imagine you're on your timeline right here and now, and you see the line stretching out in both directions. We're going to work with the future right now. You can do a lot of things with the past. I'll do another video on that. But in the future, you can see the line going way out. So what you do is you just imagine that you float up above your timeline. So you just imagine a person here just floating up, out of your chair, to the ceiling of the room you're in and beyond, and up into the sky and the trees and beyond and up into the clouds. Now you can go as far up as you want, up to the moon and the sun, or even beyond if you want. But when you look down, you do see your timeline. So just float up until it feels about right. It doesn't really matter how far up or down you go. The point is you float up above your timeline and you start to drift out towards the future. Just slowly but surely, and speed up or slow down, just meander or whatever. Just go into the direction in your mind, out towards the future until it feels just about right where you want to kind of stop, look down, and you see your timeline in the future down there. And what you do is you want to take your resource state with you as you're going out into the future until you look down at your timeline and you just have a felt sense or just guess about where in the future you're going to need that resource state. Or maybe you could even pick a specific time in the future that you know yourself enough that you're going to be upset about something in the future in relation to whatever person, whatever environment. You just know that you're going to be upset there. So what we want to do, or before we go float down to that upset time with our resource state, we're going to jump ahead and keep going forward 15 minutes in the future from the time that we got upset. And we're going to put our resource state there, just like drop it down onto the timeline. And you can even go back into the past 15 minutes before you had got upset and drop your resource state down there as well. So you've kind of got that whole half an hour, lit up by your resource state. You're purposely putting your resource state there before, during, and after the next upset in the future. So then you can go ahead and float down to that future time, that half-hour spot we got set up for us with our resource state. Just go down into that time. Just imagine yourself floating down to the timeline there and kind of look around and notice you have your resource state. Notice maybe like a little mini movie of that half hour, what happened. But it doesn't really matter, because then what you're going to do is turn towards the now on your timeline, and you're going to look back across your timeline back to now, where the present moment is. And then when you're done looking in that direction and seeing how all your resourcefulness has just gotten into place, so to speak, along that timeline, come back to just, looking at that future spot where you are in that half hour, and begin to feel like that's done now, and float up above your timeline once again. So go way up above it again so that you're way up in the clouds, and start to float back to now. And when you look down, you see that spot in the future. It's all nicely done up with your resource state there, and you're not worried about it. You've left it there, and you're floating back to where you're hovering above now, and then float back down into the timeline right here and now, where you feel your butt in the chair and your feet on the floor, and you feel wide awake and your eyes are open and you're looking around the room, and you're right back here now, here and now. And what you did was you just basically implanted your resourceful state into the future by way of using your timeline. And that's basically it. You can take your resource state and put it out into the future for all sorts of things. So make sure, as you use the NLP mindfulness technique on various different upsets and triggers, that you go ahead and do a little timeline therapy along with that to project out your new resource state during any time in the future you would have, kind of already figured or guessed that you probably will get upset in the future, So you just do that. And then, well, actually, we have a few minutes left on this, so let's go ahead to the past. The past one is very easy. I mean, it's very much the same as what we did for the future. But you're going to do it for the past. So for right now, you can take your resource state, go out to the future, look past the future, past the upsetting event, back to now. Well, you can do the same thing with the past, where you float up above your timeline, taking your resourceful state with you, and you float along out back into the past to a time that you were upset, some kind of event, and what you want to do is go 15 minutes in the past, even before that. So before the event happened, and you want to come down and put your resourceful state there, and put your resourceful state into 15 minutes past that upset, so that you have like a half an hour of time, and right in the middle is the upsetting event, and you just fill it up with your resourceful state, that whole area. And then turn and look towards the here and now. You're just looking, you're not moving. You can see across time now. And then you see around here you've put your resourceful state, and you basically leave your resourceful state there and start floating up above your timeline again, and start floating back towards the here and now till it feels about right. And then come back down into the here and now and become, kind of awaken your senses to right here now, the table, the chair, your butt on the chair, and your feet on the floor. You usually can feel that, and that kind of snaps you back into the here and now, the present moment. And when you think about the past event, you might not get as upset as you once did. And as you think about the future event, you might not get as anxious or as upset as you might have would before doing this little exercise. So together, these two exercises are the most powerful, the most profound techniques I have ever come across in my over 25 years of psych study, research, experience, training, etc. To be able to self-manage, to self-soothe, to calm down an upset within minutes, to be able to access a powerful, empowering, resourceful state of mind in a matter of seconds or minutes. Not that it's a race, but we don't have time to meditate hours on end for years on end to get peace, nor do we have the money to get things like that we might need. And you now have a way to sort of heal the past and create the future with your resourceful state, just by way of using your imagination. You're tapping into your conscious and unconscious mind, the parts of you that have memories, the parts of you that have visions of the future, the parts of you that have various triggers and upsets and resources and strengths. You're working with yourself within. And so yeah, these two techniques used together on a regular basis are extremely powerful. You're basically installing future memories that in weeks to come you'll find yourself having a deja vu feeling, because you're actually doing what you had projected yourself doing and feeling. And you'll feel a sense of, wow, this works. And you'll also get a sense of looking back into the past and just not feeling intense charge on some things so much. They're collapsing. The negative states are collapsing. You're building your powerful, resourceful states on purpose for right here and now, for self-management, emotional regulation, and helping to build your future by projecting that out into the future. It can't get any better than that. I use these techniques all the time. I'm getting excellent results. And I just wanted to put these videos together for a quick, reference to people, because I'm teaching this over and over again, and I wanted to put it in video. So I hope you like it. Feel free to ask any questions or, make a comment. That's fine too. Have an awesome, wonderful day. And if I were you, I would practice these at least weekly, if not every day a little bit. It will really help. And over time, especially like over 30 days, I've had profound results and profound calmness, where I was really myself. I had energy, but I was also very calm, cool, and collected as well, without, doing the tapping and some other techniques that I've used. This one is all just going within and using the powers of your unconscious mind. Alrighty, take good care and keep taking good action.